So,
and then under
so
Mechanus
basically,
then
so
created
basically,
mechanical
the
life.
original gods, as it was, were more. They created other gods, but they weren't as strong as them.
No.
And then they created humans, obviously not as strong as them. And the one
And
human,
then Mechanus has created the
created
androids,
the androids,
which are on
which are
par
more
with humanity.
I'll say more powerful.
It depends. I suppose so. Yeah.
Yeah, you think about a robot can do a lot more than a human.
I know it's in a sense that he's the next step in the cycle.
Are these robots humanoid?
Yes.
As in, do they have skin?
No.
Or just robots?
Well, it's not a skin. It's like a metal shell, if you will.
Okay, so
Wiring.
R2D2,
Yeah.
3PO.
The only thing closest to skin is what Mechanus kind of has, but he doesn't have skin. He has panels because his cybernetic body is ridiculously advanced.
Oh, is it gonna be like a what's his name, Iron Man, when he stands up and does the first thing, does all the thick things?
Kind of, yeah.
Suiting up, the first Iron Man suit.
In a sense of it, it's literally his body. He while creating during and somewhat after the creation of the androids, it just kind of struck him. Also, because he lost his hand during the creation process. But that's.
Oh, so Luke.
Yeah, he lost his hand.
What? Same
in
thing.
the creation process.
Which hand?
The left hand down to that there. Initially during the creation process, and then he made himself obviously a cybernetic hand because he just took it from one of the android prototypes. But
so how he can just literally plug it in at this point, can't he?
Yeah, he created a neural interface.
It's literally. Oh, I've got my hand cut off. Fuck off. I'm gonna get a new one. That's it.
It then made him realise not that his body was weak, but that if he wanted to forever, he wanted to innovate as long as possible. His body would not allow that.
Why not?
He's a human body. The human lifespan is 100 years, approximately. The average human lifespan is 100 years.
Yeah.
So he would theoretically only be able to innovate for about 110, based on his own estimates, originally, if he was to keep his human body.
Yeah, but he's gone.
After that sort of time, he would either die or would have been deteriorated so much that he wouldn't be able to do anything. So he thought, well, cybernetics.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was his hand first. That was an accident. Then he started to do other things. Obviously, where he realised what was weak, what would start to go first. So he couldn't do organs initially because he had to invent a whole new material to create organs out of, so that he could then create biomechanical organs that were better than his current ones. But also that his body wouldn't immediately reject. So he had to do all that. Slowly, it got to a point where with mechanical arms he can do things quicker, with mechanical legs he can move faster, with mechanical organs he doesn't have to worry about anything else.
That's why robots are better than humans.
I removed his entire stomach because he didn't see a point in it. Instead, just gives himself nutrients for a system inside.
Yeah, but he still needs it for his brain.
His brain. That's a whole another can of worms because he has a whole setup for his brain where it's as horribly sci-fi gruesome as it sounds. He has a miniature heart inside of his own brain to pump blood around his brain.
Oh, I was going to say RoboCop, which is RoboCop. Peter Weller. No, Peter Weller. What film was it? Oh God, Naked Lunch. Exactly, Naked Lunch. Same thing.
He has a miniature heart inside of his own brain to pump blood around his brain.
Yes, type Y turns a big bug.
So that he doesn't have to have an abnormal heart, because then he could. Because the heart was the last thing he replaced.
So how does how's the brain feed?
What?
He's got a heart.
Nutrients.
That's fine. Yeah.
He just has nutrients that goes into his brain. And
has
blood pumping and oxygen tanks and everything. It's a whole setup. It's incredibly impressive how he was so adamant on maintaining his brain.
Like Vader.
In a sense, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
It's just that he realised that once he could replace his heart, he could, because the rest of his cybernetics were just running on normal energy and biofuel. By this point, this new fuel called Tritonium was invented by him.
Obviously,
and due to power vehicles and whatnot to new way crazy levels. He's trying to figure out a way to power his cybernetics with Tritonium. But if you tried to pump that through his organic organs, it would destroy them. It'd be like trying to put petrol through your veins. It would destroy them.
Sorry, petrol through my veins?
It would be the equivalent of trying to put petrol through your veins. It would kill you.
Well, no, not me.
The point is that it would kill him. That was his point. That's what he was basically worried about. It would just that he knew it would kill him. Putting tritonium for his body would kill him.
But like Wolverine, he bonded
But
with it.
he just got rid of his heart and created an artificial heart that could then pump tritonium around his body instead, which then
Well, that's what I say.
which then let him power his cybernetics through tritonium instead of biofuel.
Yeah, done old stuff. Yeah.
So once he could replace that, yeah, that was basically it.
So his brain is literally self-contained at this point.
Self-contained. Yeah.
Human brain.
Yeah.
In a robot body with a heart in the middle of the brain, and everything's yep. And all you need is some
This
nutrients.
was also a point where he created a complete clone of his brain, and
What?
he created a
Clone.
complete clone of his brain.
Uh-oh.
He cloned his brain.
That sounds
and
worrying.
Kind of keeps it sealed.
That sounds like
Just in
Tron.
case.
That sounds like Tron Legacy.
But he keeps a clone of his brain sealed just in case.
Okay.
But
Why?
the thing is,
Why did he clone his brain and keep it sealed?
because again, another solution to avoid the inevitability of death.
So you're saying that he can, once he clones someone, he can then transfer his consciousness, his life,
but he
his
thought of-
soul
He
into
thought of
that
a
body.
better idea for that. But
Chappy.
it's more in a sense that once he created a clone of his brain, he then kind of basically used his brain like a computer for a while, giving it commands, and then it would feed back. He'd basically give it something to think about, and then it would feed back.
Okay.
Like
But
how you give a computer inputs and it gives you an output. He
like
then,
AI.
yeah.
Or,
he then realised that the clone brain was as smart as his, but it didn't have his personality.
well,
So
of course
he
he wouldn't do.
So he deemed it a failure, given the fact that he deemed that a failure as a solution to live on, purely because he didn't have his personality, so he wouldn't be the same. So there's no point, it's a failure. But he didn't write it off as a complete failure, because then he realised, well, he turned it into an artificial intelligence assistant.
Well,
Turned it
yeah,
into an
but
assistant.
it's smarter, as
He-
smart as him,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it doesn't have his soul.
It doesn't have his personality. It doesn't
A
have his soul.
personality.
So
Soul,
he
yeah,
allowed,
exactly.
so he allowed it intelligence, wrote it a new personality, and basically it works as his lab assistant.
Yeah, but at this point,
Its own thing.
it's a completely different life form.
Yep, it's his own thing.
He's created another new life form.
He created a lab assistant.
No, not just robots, but he's created a clone of himself.
He gave it an artificial soul, so it's a bit more robotic than a
No,
person.
oh, I
but
thought you said clone.
he cloned his brain, yeah.
Oh, just the brain, not the
Yeah.
body. Okay,
No,
fine.
he just cloned his brain.
Okay, right. Okay, I understand.
he-
now. Okay.
He didn't really want to transfer his own soul because the process of he eventually figured out how to replace someone's soul without killing them, and it's an excruciating process. So he didn't want to go through that. Even in a
Okay.
robot body, he didn't want to go through that. He didn't. Oh yeah, at this point, if you're wondering how his body still has a human soul, when I didn't mention it, but machines reject human souls. Innately reject human souls. It's why he could.
Why the souls?
As I said, a soul is the life
Oh, okay, yeah.
itself. Mechanical stuff is soulless. It's
But
been
he
created.
gave a soul to his artificial.
No, he created an artificial soul for his.
Yeah. So isn't. Okay.
See, the thing is, obviously, he thought of that, so he did some tinkering with his own soul through actual means of magic instead of science. He had to go to the gods for this one.
Okay.
The gods are already pissed off by creating artificial life in general. But he went to the gods.
Deities.
He went to the gods, deities, whatever.
Yep.
For this one, he basically said, "Yeah, I want to be in a robot body." They said, "Why don't you do it? If you're so smart," because they didn't like him because of the question of artificial life. He was like, "Well, if you're so smart, think of a solution." Like, there is
Well, he
no
did though,
solution.
didn't he?
Yeah, he said there is no solution other than continuous cybernetics. I like cybernetics, but I want just my brain. I can't just keep my soul contained in just my brain for time.
So
That
what?
won't work forever.
So why doesn't he?
He's,
Right,
again, like, well, think of something. He's like, no, because I have a solution. You won't like to hear it.
What's
What
that?
is it?
Exactly.
He merged his soul with an artificial one.
Oh, hello. And what happened?
His soul is now half
Human, half
human,
robotic.
half artificial.
Artificial.
So God knows what's actually going to happen when he dies, because his soul is basically going to be ripped in two. But
Why would he listen to?
it's half human, half artificial soul. Artificial souls don't go anywhere when they die; they just fizzle out. Human souls are meant to go to one of two. Human souls are meant to go to one of three places.
Oh, yeah,
What's going to happen
up,
when he dies
down,
now?
or middle. Yeah.
What's going to happen when he dies now?
Limbo.
His soul's going to be ripped in half.
but the
Basically, he is a
why
being
does
going to get ripped in
so
half.
so can I ask you a serious question?
Yeah.
Why does a robotic soul not have a place to go?
The leaders, the rulers of Drothar reject artificial life. Eternus and Eternia reject the idea of artificial life. The controller of Limbo rejects artificial life. All of the deities that control the respective planes of existence reject artificial life, so they fizzle out.
Okay, what if someone...
They don't give... Every plane where you could go off you die rejects the idea of allowing artificial life there.
But what if you...
That's why.
Okay.
It's that, they reject the idea of artificial life.
But
it's not their creations.
But
they don't like artificial... Deities in general don't like artificial life.
But deities were created by the gods.
Yes.
So
and the deities created humanity and human souls. So they... And human souls, they then are... Human souls they look after. In a sense, like, it's kind of like a weird parental kind of relationship, because they don't really nurture humans, but they leave humans to do what they want, but they nurture their soul when they die. As in they're either nurtured into the heavens, rejected into the depths, or kept in a weird limbo state.
Yeah, limbo. That's what I know what limbo is.
Because you can do a lot with a mortal soul. You can do a lot with a mortal soul, especially with Bargus and the other deities.
See, that's the whole point. The eyes.
You can do a lot with a soul.
Can you see the eyes die when you kill someone?
You can do a lot with we can do a lot with a soul. An artificial soul is purely artificial. Only machine. You can only have a machine.
Okay, but you're still saying a soul. What do you mean artificial? Okay, right. Let's just say a few years' time when quantum...
Artificial, as in literally artificial. It's the creation of artificial life.
Yeah, but let's just say a few years' time.
In the sense of that, you can create a soul through the use of certain rituals and magics and God knows what, because there is an equation to life.
That's a robot.
There is
soul.
There is no, that's a normal soul. There is an equation
to
create.
Can you give a soul back to a dead person? Bring it back to life. They've literally died.
Yes, but you're not meant to.
Why not? Okay, right, let's look at it this way.
It won't affect the person. It'll be like they just basically got knocked out and came back. It's that it affects a lot of things with, like, the deities and such. Because of the whole death cycle, it's in a sense that...
So, if you just... Shut up, you guys. No Deadpool jokes.
That's why they don't like Mechanus, because he basically has a couple of human souls just contained in his laboratory for the hell of it.
Oh, in the jar, like mine. Yeah, like the brains, yeah. Cool.
He has souls in jars.
Frankenstein.
He has souls in jars just to piss off gods. Just to piss them off.
It's like Frankenstein and... What's his name?
It's just to piss them off, because of the fact that he knows they would go somewhere, and then the gods would have their purposes set out. But where they are currently, in his laboratory, they can't go anywhere until he says so.
Why not?
Because if the deities just free these souls, they're then directly interfering with the soul
process.
Yeah,
I understand that. Yeah, sorry, my bad.
They're interfering with the natural process if they interfere with a soul.
Okay.
Because the person in limbo, or the deity that goes over,
you say soul,
over the limbo.
But but with souls, you're saying about
over the limbo state is the deity that basically mitigates how the actual process of life and death works. But there's two. There is, in the sense of there is life
the artificial soul. Doesn't that still have life and death?
I've literally just named them in the sense of life and death. The deities that control limbo.
So they're in limbo.
They control the limbo. They are the limbo.
But limbo's the best place to be, isn't it? Surely.
No, because if you're stuck there, if you're in limbo, it's because you are stuck in the cycle, in between the cycle of life and death. You're not meant to be there by any means. You are not meant to be there. You shouldn't be in limbo. That is where life and death and the primal deities of life and death themselves reside. The genuine life and death.
Like standing at a bus stop waiting for a bus.
Yeah.
But you don't know which bus is coming next, and you don't know where it's but you don't know where it's going.
Yeah, it's limbo.
It's like that.
In the sense of when you're in limbo, that bus will never come.
Oh, okay.
A soul being in limbo is a confusion for both life and death, because it should go somewhere.
Why?
And it's then their job to then work out why it's there and to get rid of it.
Okay, so limbo is a bad place.
Life and
Oh,
death.
Limbo's
are,
worse than.
Life and death are the only existing primordial gods that are still actually having domain. So they're more powerful than the other gods themselves, because deities can still die. Deities still answer to life and death.
Yeah, because they're not the gods.
Deities still
Gods
answer to life and
created
death.
deities.
Even those gods
Deities.
still die.
Okay, how?
Every deity answers to life and death at some point.
No, gods.
Every
No, you say gods and deities, which are
No, they're not
decorating, and that.
No, not different. I'm just using the names of the
Oh,
change.
okay, sorry.
Gods still live. Gods still die. Gods still answer to life and death.
Okay.
Even the gods have to answer to life and death.
Like 4.
Because when one died and Justice was grief-stricken, he spent 100 years in limbo pleading with the two of them for one's soul back so he could revive him.
Okay.
That was what I was going on about earlier, the extreme grief.
Yeah.
He pleaded with life and death for years to get one's soul back. Didn't work. They basically said his fate was sealed, he died, that's it. Justice of all people should know well, as I said before, Justice's powers work based on someone being chosen by the Justice Thunderbolt every so often when one Justice dies.
I remember this one. Yeah.
Justice should know of all people about death and life because he himself is a part of a cycle of it. They basically told him straight that if he was to try to go to Eternia and retrieve one soul, they would both be taken and destroyed.
Completely destroyed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, what do you want?
Oh.
That's what Eternus was basically told as well, because Eternus wanted to take the
Oh, you got dude. What's the matter, dude? You're cuddling, dude. He wants cuddles.
Well, Death basically said to Eternus, if you try to mess with the souls that Mechanus has contained, they don't like that Mechanus has souls contained because it in itself, containing them interrupts the balance.
Exactly, but one. I'm going to whiskey, please. Sorry.
Them being contained in the mortal world doesn't actually mess with the balance that much because it doesn't put them in limbo. It keeps them in a limbo state in the mortal plane. So as much as they can. Concerned, they don't like it, but there's not much they can do because they also won't step into the field of the mortal plane either. That's not their job. Why not? Because they don't care. They don't need to interfere with the mortal plane. Life and death don't need to interfere with the mortal plane. They don't feel they need to. It's out of their jurisdiction. But if you wish someone was upon life, the state of being in between life and death is a passage not described before is crazy. Sense of people's soul basically, as I said before. I've mentioned this passage before where the soul. There is no deity between life and death. There is no in between world. That's the scary part. Everyone answers to life and death. Other than those who break, because in that sense your soul is inhabiting a dead body. You're an enigma in that sense to them. Because you should be dead, your soul should be moving on, but it's refusing to. Your soul is refusing to move on for whatever reason. So in that sense, you're defying life and death themselves. Exactly. They don't like mortal souls that break. From people that have broken and then came back, they have seen both deities lingering around them.
Both of them. Oh, death and life.
The massages of death and life lingering around them, waiting for their soul to depart their broken body. Which usually does happen.
All the time.
It doesn't always. They said when they turn life after these breaks, that they see these visages fading as if they've been ripped away.
Why?
Their place is not in the mortal world, is it?
Okay.
Life and death's concepts cannot be understood by humanity in the true sense, so they are.
No. Well. Life and death are the original gods.
Yeah. Part of them.
Oh, part? Who's the other one?
Well, there's in a sense of the original gods. The original gods were basically the primordial forces of creation.
Okay.
Life, death, creation.
Creation would be in the middle.
Death, creation, destruction.
Creation and destruction would be in the middle.
No, creation. No, they're two dualities.
Sure.
They're meant to be two different dualities. Life and death, creation, destruction.
Yeah.
They're
life,
the same.
death. It's like a compass.
They're the same but different.
Yeah, but it's like a compass.
Life,
death. No, think about it. North, south, south, east, west.
Life is the wellspring creation takes from to then create things. And death is the wellspring destruction takes from to destroy things.
So, I said the compass. You got life at the
Creation,
top. You got no.
destruction destroyed so much it then created Drothar in the sense of all the underworld and stuff like that. In a sense that it is a place of raw destruction and chaos. And creation created the heavens to be a Eternia, to be a paradise.
But
And then obviously they then created the respective gods to go in those domains. And life and death lingered in between.
oh, I see now. Okay.
Forces of life and death lingered in between.
Yeah, they're always present no matter what.
Yes. You have other experiments that the deities did with mortals, because obviously they, at one point during the ancient times, they took DNA from one of the gods, God of Wrath. I've said about him before.
Yep.
They took part of his DNA, mixed it into a human soul that was a part of it, that was in a baby in a woman, inside of a woman's stomach, and they basically created a half deity, half human child.
Oh my God! You talk about Jesus?
No.
Okay, fine. No.
The only he was influenced by deities, not created by them. He was an already existing child. They just changed him.
So how they genetically change him?
They changed his soul.
Sorry?
They changed his soul.
Robotic?
They changed the energy.
Artificial?
No, magic.
No, is he now robotic soul?
No.
Artificial
No.
soul. Okay.
They changed
His soul
they
to become
used magic to change his soul.
to become.
To manipulate his soul to be
Okay, I
partially
understand.
divine.
Yeah.
Problem with this is he wasn't told.
Can you imagine that? You got the powers of the god and you're not being told.
See, he knew he had powers. Humans at this time had powers anyway. I told you the ancient people had powers.
Yeah,
His
but
powers were different.
yeah, but can you imagine that? You turn
wasn't
around,
told
you
by
turn
the
around, look at
deities.
someone. That person just jumped in front of me. At which point,
He
lightning
wasn't
comes
told
from your
by
wrist,
the- He
finger.
wasn't told by the deities about his creation. However, he was told by the primordial of chaos, because the primordial of chaos overheard the gods discussing about the creation of this child, and the primordial of chaos, wanting to spread chaos and deceit, decided to at one point approach this child while they were alone and explain to them their means of creation,
Okay.
which then made them
Yeah.
incredibly annoyed.
Exactly.
Well,
Pissed
I won't
off.
call them a
I'd
child,
say.
they were a teenager at this
I'd
point.
say pissed.
When the chaos primordial
Yeah,
spoke,
I know. Carry on.
the gods didn't actually know the chaos primordial had spoken with, well, who I'm going to call Exodia at this point in time, because I'm not going to say his other name yet because I'll spoil it. But Exodia went to go communicate with the gods, asking if this was true.
But
he was told by one, yes, this is true. Well, he said, then why am I not up with the divine? Where is my power? Where is my divinity?
Exactly.
Where is what I am then owed by birthright?
Yeah.
He said, and then he was brushed aside. And then one, staying then from that point onwards silent, ended the communication.
Who's silent?
Well,
no, it's just
he wasn't
silence.
silenced. When asked these questions, he just turned away.
Oh, okay.
He just turned and walked away and left.
Okay.
Denying Exodia the closure. However, the Chaos Primordial then basically went to him and went, well, they might deny you your divinity, your divine power by birthright.
Why?
But I grant you power.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So that you may take what you are owed.
Ah.
The Chaos Primordial basically.
So what's he owed now?
You take what he was owed. Well, Calamity feels it will. He then took on the name Calamity afterwards, but he feels that he was owed divine.
Intervention. No,
divinity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not
But
divine
now,
intervention.
but now, with the Chaos Primordial's power and his own latent divine power combined, he was now the most powerful user of magic at that entire time.
Cool.
He rivaled deities. He
He'd
rivaled the very deities.
Because if he knows magic, as in what deity deities
he rivaled the very,
he would be
deity. Gods, whatever. He
Yeah.
rivaled the very gods with his power, his sheer power. He rivaled.
It's like,
the
hello,
divinity
dude.
itself.
Oh,
the thing.
beautiful
He-
boy. Look at you. Sorry.
So
carry on.
he just started to destroy things to get the god's attention.
Almost
Eventually,
cuddles. Yeah.
training his power, holding his
Beautiful
power,
boy.
becoming so powerful, being then known as the Great Magus King Calamity,
Oh.
being known as the Great Magus, or King of Mages, or true destroyer. He went by basically a lot of names that ended up, and then eventually just Calamity, as in, a great, calamity.
Yeah, exactly.
Literal destruction by name. But he took that name in a sense of because he brought destruction with him. Eventually, the gods did realise how powerful he was. They sealed him away.
Where?
They sealed him away.
Carbonite.
No, they sealed him away
Okay.
using their powers. They created basically a magical seal that just locked him in time. He didn't
And
age
space.
or anything like that. He was just sealed because he was so ridiculously powerful. He was sealed until they could throw it away. Soon after he was sealed, a prophecy appeared that that a human warrior would ascend in power and defeat Calamity.
Yeah, right.
In 100 million years.
Okay.
So
that's in the
they
future.
sealed him away and they sent him to a whole nother
So
dimension.
wait a minute.
So they sealed Calamity away and sent him
I
to another
sealed
dimension.
him away
And then a prophecy
for
came
100
forth.
million
And
years.
then a prophecy came. No, they sealed him away in general. He wasn't meant to be unsealed.
Okay, but he's like mummy.
And then he was sent away to a different dimension so that he couldn't interrupt what at this time would be the Ancients. However, the Ancients had to migrate from their dimension for other reasons, and
Why?
and unknowingly migrated into the same dimension that Calamity was sealed in.
Yeah, but why?
The Great Migration was for various reasons, but it was more for the fact that the ancient people, they had a fight with another deity called Stalrim, which was the primordial deity of evil. So in the sense
cool.
that they tried to leave him sealed, and they realised that if they leave where they are and go to a different dimension, they can literally just seal him there, and he will have no influence over any of them, and that's it. They could just seal him there. His evil influence can corrupt all of that, but he can't leave.
So stuck in, like being next to a black hole.
Yeah,
You're frozen in time.
He would just be not frozen in time, but he would just be sealed in, in what is now referred to as the ancient Isle, was where he could then just be as evil as he wants to, but with nothing to corrupt and nothing to do other than the ground, other than the very dirt.
Oh, so they basically put him in a
living in a cell.
Well, not a cell, but a cell of his own mind.
Yeah,
at which point he can do whatever he wants in his own mind.
Obviously, when they actually migrated dimensions, he did manage to sneak through, but
okay, cool. Yeah.
He made them believe for a while they still met. But obviously, unknowingly at this point, because Calamity was in a different part of the galaxy, and they didn't realise that for a long while, which they did eventually find him.
Yep.
Humanity did eventually find him some 50 million years later, which made the deities realise the biggest mistake possible when humanity kind of tried to since the way he was sealed, it's like he's in a crystal ball.
Oh, I understand. Yeah.
They tried to chip at it. Obviously, it didn't work. No, nothing human did broke any of it at all.
Well,
sealed by magic. He would have to be freed by
like Milmir. Force hammer.
He
You
would have to be
couldn't break
freed
it
by
unless you
ritual.
shoot. Yeah. Okay.
So
No, not shoot.
there's nothing humanity could do, but they were curious, as humanity is.
Yeah.
So they kept just kind of. At this point, humanity is still at like a Stone Age equivalent. They don't have technology or anything yet, so they just kind of sit there and watch it. The gods didn't like that.
Yeah, but surely
because
at
they
this
still
point,
knew that.
No. If they're Stone Age, surely, if they saw technology, that is gods.
So they didn't see technology. They just see a guy in a crystal ball.
Yeah, but they would see. To them, Stone Age. It's
50
like
million years later, the ancients were way advanced. But again, 50 million years later, because of humanity constantly bringing. About every 10 million years, an extinction event happens.
Yep.
Like clockwork.
Okay.
And pretty much every single time it wipes humanity out. Every single time.
why is it just humanity though? Because they're the weakest link.
They just end up getting wiped out.
Yeah, because
so
they're just like a virus, and humans are virus.
Obviously, 100 million years then does, or almost 100 million years then does pass before modern humanity actually does eventually prevail, because of the fact that they then avert their fated destruction and then are able to prevail because of it. Obviously, then as technology advances, they actually figure out what Calamity is, because the gods do directly tell some people, and they then sit there and monitor him. Because they do realise he's alive. He does have a heartbeat inside of it, because they make technology
in a soul jar. Yeah.
They realise that soul jar is just sealed in crystals.
Soul jar, crystal. Yeah, I know. I was saying soul jar. Sorry, the same thing.
They realise he does have a heartbeat. He is inherently. There's no brain activity, but he has a heartbeat.
He's frozen.
Alive.
He's
but
frozen.
He's not able
Conscious.
to do anything. Eventually, as it he's closer to that 100 million years exactly, he does slowly get brain activity, but he still doesn't. Nothing really happens. He can't get out of there, even if he was to reawaken and have full brain activity.
That's
He couldn't
bad.
get out. He would just be stuck in a ball.
Yeah.
To a certain somebody was losing. Obviously, at this point, Starream had came back.
Oh.
He'd managed to take over the galaxy because he then created a company called Evil.
Oh.
As
Is that an anagram?
Evil literally is an acronym. Like,
Acronym. That's the word. That's the word. Not anagram.
This was, oh my God,
Oh, evil. Evil. Come on. You got to do it.
I can't remember what it actually stands for anymore. It does
Every very
no.
I love.
Evil
No.
itself is just a bunch of corrupted humans that have been corrupted, like in their mind by Starream to then do his bidding. So they then
Basically, they're psychotic.
They're just like zombies. They're
Okay.
just corrupted people.
Oh, yeah.
Other than the higher ups, who are corrupted people that have sentience and powers and stuff like that. But they then strike a deal with another group of people out there called Regen, which are just regenerative humans who just basically hunt normal people for sport because it's fun. And they regenerate, they can't die, they just hunt people for sport. Them two team up to basically create super soldiers in the sense that regenerative, evil, corrupted people that basically can't be killed for normal means other than poisons that kill regenerators and whatnot. Anyway, they combine into a thing. They combine into this massive, basically, company, army, whatever, military, whatever you call it, called Lord. Which Lord in itself is an acronym for the Legion of Reality Destruction.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I was waiting for something. I love analogies.
They do eventually manage to scrounge up enough power because during a certain other conflict, one dies, leaving a huge, obviously because he's a god, that leaves a massive power vacuum.
Is he god or deity at this point?
God of, as I said before, god of deity is interchangeable.
Okay, fine. Carry on. Sorry.
Being the god of wrath, whatever, that his status didn't really matter. What god he was didn't really matter.
Okay.
The point is, he's dead. This is a huge power gap.
Yep.
A huge power vacuum.
It would be.
One was